Hey, what's going on, everybody? This week on Movie Time, given that there's really no major releases for the week and we find ourselves already in the middle of the year, thought it would be great to have a discussion about what are some of our favorite movies of the year so far. What movies did we find extremely disappointing and kind of soul crushing, so to speak? And for the remainder of the year, which movies are we looking forward to most? So sit back, relax, enjoy on this little journey of ours as we look at the past, present, and future of 2022. Movie time! Let's go! Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back with another episode of Movie Time here. Got myself, Rene, LOWKEY GEEK, and Blake the Wolf. What's going on, dude?
Renee, I am so excited to talk about our movie opinions because shame on you if you step through to my top five movies 2022. We're going over our top
Yeah!
five list today, baby. Let's do it. Waiting
Ow,
all year
ow,
for
ow.
this.
Row, row. That's right. Getting ready. No really major movie releases this week, but these are the weeks that we love to take advantage of because it gives us a chance, to talk about topics like what we're going to talk about today. So, given that we are halfway through the year, I thought it would be an awesome time to talk about what have been some of our favorite movies of the year so far. What are some of the most disappointing movies that we may have seen, and what are we looking forward to for the next 6 months, right? So for the rest of 2022 there. So if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Hope you enjoy the ride. Make sure to fasten your seatbelts and keep your trays in the upright positions because we are about to take off on this biatch. But thank you for tuning in. If you like what you see, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you are an audio listener, don't forget we are also on your podcast platform of your choice. Through the LOWKEY GEEK channel there, you could find this episode and so many others for your downloadable and listening pleasure there. And if it prompts you, leave a good rating because we're pretty good dudes, and we love to see the love. Well, one of us may be a good dude. I don't know about the other one, but definitely would love to see you show some love there and comment. Tell us we're idiots. Tell us how you think we're disgusting and we don't know shit and all that. We want to hear it because we thrive off of that feedback. We thrive, and in all honesty, we love the conversations with you guys, and we've had some pretty decent back and forths on YouTube there. So really appreciate the support for everyone who's coming back and watching us do our thing. So that being said, I think obviously the best part to start is let's just talk about some of the movies that we really enjoyed this year. Giving so Blake and I, we both have our own top five. But I think let's start off with some honorable mentions here.
Okay.
So movies that maybe we've enjoyed that didn't make our top five list, but maybe given the time we saw it, we thought maybe it would have been in our top five or whatever the case. But it's movies that we've enjoyed regardless, right? So on my honorable mention list, I have three main ones. So that is Jackass Forever,
Mm.
Men, and Moonfall. So if you've caught any of our previous episodes, I think Blake and I at one point agreed that Jackass Forever was one of the best movies that we've seen of the year. At that time, we did that episode, right? And I think that may have been like in March or something like that. It was just captivating to see these older statesmen of the Jackass crew still having fun, still doing their thing while introducing the new generation, the new blood to the Jackass empire there. And it was just really funny. It's still funny to see these guys, up to their antics and everything. I really enjoyed it. Men, I thought the reason why that's on my list is because of the acting of Jessie Buckley. I thought she was phenomenal in that movie. I do appreciate a good twisty A24 movie. As you could see, I am an A24 stan for sure. But I just really, really enjoyed that movie and kind of like this the messaging that they were trying to put out there. And Moonfall,
Mm.
before another movie that we're going to talk about, is just your quintessential movie theater blockbuster experience. You know, it is just one of those movies you go into, shut your brain off, you know, eat your popcorn or nachos, you know, drink your very high sugar content, you know, drink of choice, and just go along for the ride. You're not there for any major plot stories. You're not there for awesome acting. You're there just for the pure spectacle, the explosions, the, you know, the chases, what have you. Moonfall had it all for me, and I really, really enjoyed it. Probably more than anybody else, you know. So definitely, those are the three honorable mentions there. What about you, Blake? What are some of your honorable mentions of the year?
Moonfall, I'm going to throw that one in right there. You said it great, very entertaining. My expectations were, of course, rock bottom,
Yeah,
but it was a great fun time. There's a couple on my list that are more like fun times and not necessarily like great classic quality cinema. Moonfall is the honorable mention there. Min is also on my list. I had a hard time leaving it off my top five. We'll get into that when we get into the real top five.
yeah.
I'm going to say this one right here, right now. This might be controversial. Top Gun. Didn't make my top five, but it's an
Ooh,
honorable mention. Top Gun. If you comment right now and tell me a
wow.
time and location, I will fight you, no problem. Based on the fact that if you think this movie is great, then I'll fight anybody wherever. Just name a spot. I don't care. No, for real.
Amazing.
I liked it a lot. Loved it. Had a fun time. I think that it's getting a lot of hype because the like expectations were low, and it was good. It was fun. It was entertaining. It was kind of corny too. Like, and it was fine. It was well. They did a good job with the formula. They didn't mess it up. It was good. Like, it wasn't the greatest movie of all time. It wasn't the greatest sequel of all time. Like, so fight me about that. But that's an honorable mention. I'll give it that credit. And then lastly is
Okay.
Rathaniel, the Gerard Carmichael comedy special. I don't know if you would count that as a movie, but it was about an hour. I got to be there in person when they filmed it, and I got to watch it again. Apparently, my laugh can be heard
Oh,
on the
totally.
video on
Totally.
HBO Max. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's when I watched it, it was one of the things I caught like within the first 10, 15 minutes. And I was like, there's Blake. There he is. So
Yeah.
that was special for me to see that.
It was special to see it in person. I'm glad you also got a kick out of that part, Renee. But I laughed very hard, and it was also like a deep special. Like, it was deep, and it was a special comedy special. Like, there's a lot of
Mhm.
really funny comedians out there. This one was like a moment, and got to give the dude props for that. So honorable mention for Nathaniel there. But yeah, that's the all my honorable mentions. And then also, just to clarify real quick, we're not doing full spoilers, but we're also like, it's a review list, so like we might say some things.
Yeah.
If there's a movie on this list and someone's like, "Yo, I don't want to know anything about it," like probably should have seen it sooner because there aren't any like no movies are coming out this weekend, for example. But I just want to make sure we're on the same page with that one, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, just again for those of you listening and watching, we're not gonna go into like deep plot spoilers or anything like that with the movies we see. However, we may mention something that could be considered a spoiler because that thing could be the reason why we love the movie so much or why we
Okay.
may have hated the movie so much, right? So just be mindful of that. Again, I feel like if you're watching this, you probably have seen these movies like we have, and you want to just see what those rankings are as far as like how they really pan out for the year so far. So just a little heads up there for all of you people watching and listening. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up and putting that out there. So with that being said, I guess let's talk about our number five. So we're gonna go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if something on the list is mentioned by either Blake or myself, and we have it on our list as well, yeah, we'll talk about that. But we'll give each other proper time to discuss why it's there on our list. So number five for me, which may be a surprise to you, and I'm sure a surprise to a lot of people, and that would be Chippendale Rescue Rangers. The recent,
Whoa, wait. I'm sorry,
yeah,
my audio must have just cut out. I heard.
nope, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. That's right. The Disney
I didn't
Plus
even
movie.
know that that had come out. Is
Yep.
that what are you? Uh,
Yeah.
Renee,
So
I
it
need you
came.
to explain yourself quickly.
Sure.
I'll
Yeah.
stop interrupting. What? What?
No. So it is a movie that came out on Disney Plus. It stars the voice acting talents of John Mulaney and Andy Samberg playing the title roles there. Um, the movie, I was not really expecting much out of it. It was just one of those movies that I remember Rescue Rangers growing up, watching the TV cartoon and all that, and of course at the time, which it was part of the Disney afternoon, that was like top viewing for a kid at during that generation and all that time. So when I heard that they were bringing them back in this kind of hybrid animation live action film, of course, the first thing that came to mind was, oh, is this going to be another Smurfs? Is this going to be like another Alvin and the Chipmunks and all that?
Yeah.
And I was blown out of, like, I was just surprised of how much I enjoyed this movie, how much I thought it was hilarious, the parodies, the poking fun at their own Disney properties,
Hmm.
allowing the writers to actually have freedom to poke fun of all of these things within the Disney libraries, and also poking fun of the genre of movie. They did make fun of Alvin
Huh.
and the Chipmunks. They did make fun of Smurfs. They made fun of Sonic the Hedgehog because when the first Sonic images came out and how everyone was losing their shit online, they actually brought back that version of Sonic in the
Oh
movie.
my
And
gosh. What?
this is not really
Huh.
like a spoiler because it happens within like the first 5 minutes of the movie. Because basically they're like at a convention and they're all signing autographs, and
Oh my gosh.
and
That's
Sonic
a
is
great
literally,
premise.
yeah, he's in the booth right next to them. And yeah, the poor guy, he looks down on his luck, because they kind of recasted the movie and everything like that. But they poked fun at all of those things. And
Wow.
the chemistry between Mulaney and Sandberg was really good. Albeit like voice acting, but still, that's acting, right? So I just thought like it was really fun. It explains everything of like how the show became popular, and then there was like creative differences, and everyone went their own way, and then now this becomes a reunion thing, and kind of like getting the team back together, so to speak. The mix of animation and live action, honestly, it reminded me of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because that's just how good and how seamless it is. I've been very critical about those movies. If anyone watching have seen my previous review of the Tom and Jerry movie, I was extremely critical about that because I hate it when the mix of live action and animation just doesn't gel correctly, or is like
Yeah.
you could tell someone is acting versus a tennis ball, like they're like looking at something just like a mark, right? And movie had a lot of it. This did not. This just felt like it was really, really well done, totally unexpected. I was laughing a lot with all the little references and cameos. They had cameos from a lot of different properties. Like um, you had South Park characters in there. You had the Transformers. You had all these different cameos in there that aren't Disney specific properties. So again, reminded me of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when that was the first time you saw Mickey and Bugs Bunny interacting together on screen. So it was just so well done. And I'm sure there's a lot of people like yourself who had no idea about the movie, no idea that it even came out, and no idea that it's actually worth watching. So I really, really thoroughly enjoyed it, to my surprise. Because again, I was not expecting to. So
Thank you. That's kind of why we do this, is to like
yeah,
recommend things. We talk about things that we both like, but I'm gonna like check that out immediately. That sounds really, really, really good. Damn. Okay. Um, all right. So I'm going number five.
go for it.
Mine might be surprising. It's Ambulance, the Michael Bay movie. I had an amazing time at the theater. I went into it expecting to hate it. That helped. The other thing that helped was seeing it in a nice Dolby theater. And my seat is doing the sound is so intense, it's shaking. The visuals are so intense, and it was just like it hit me at the right time. And seeing it opening weekend in the theater was a special experience. I have to say, if you're listening to this for recommendations, I'm not sure I'd watch this on just any home TV situation. If you just want to know the
Yeah.
plot, like that isn't necessarily what you come to this movie for. It's the
Yeah.
enthralling, immersive, intense experience. Dude did things with the camera I hadn't seen before, and that's hard to pull off in 2022. And just the nonstop action of it. There's corny Michael Bay that's nonstop action. This one didn't feel corny. This felt more like someone who was trying to pull off an indie movie with like practical effects and like intense camera work and like through craftsmanship more than just like $1 million explosions every few seconds. So for that, I was so deeply into it. Like had a hard time walking afterward. Like I was so like it was such an intense experience. If you can, definitely see it at whichever friend has the best home movie system. Um, that was a fun experience. And for that, there's not a ton of great, high quality cinema so far this year. I'm sure closer to Oscar time, end of the year, buzzer beaters, we'll get plenty of that. So I doubt this will be on my end of the year list. There's no way. For right now, with fewer movies being in movie theaters and definitely fewer quality movies in this part of the year so far, top five, number five, Ambulance.
Amazing. I did see Ambulance too. It didn't make any of my lists, so that means it wasn't a disappointment. I did right. I actually did enjoy the movie myself too. But I'm surprised that it made it to your top five. So I'm just you said it too. You were pretty much like in the right mindset and preparedness when you went to watch that movie. That probably made you enjoy it as much as you did. I wonder if you watch it today, if you would feel the same way as you did back then, because it happens a lot where the movie hits us at the right time, at the right frame of mind that we're in. And for us, we think it's a great movie, but I'm curious if it's because of that, and if we were in a different level and we watch it now, it happens a lot. So I'm just curious if you think that might be the case there.
Well, I have I'll describe my home movie system as mid at best, fairly mid. And so I don't know. I don't know if I'm using that word correctly. It's a cool. I'm
Mid.
working on incorporating that in my vocabulary. I know I wouldn't enjoy it as much now. Part of it was seeing it the first time that weekend with people who were excited for that movie
Yeah.
in a perfect movie theater experience with the
Hmm.
right friend. He's done like action and like behind the scenes stuff at movies. And so like he's
Yeah.
like afterward we talked about it, like how difficult it would be to pull off some of those things. The main thing was like the camera work is what really blew my mind. What pulled me to the front of my seat where I'm going like, hey, did he just do how did he do that? And it
Yeah.
felt almost like a magic trick where like that part where your mind gets blown. It felt like that for a duration of the movie. Is the
Yeah.
acting good? It's fine. Is the plot good? No, there's nothing to like the backstory is fine. It's more just the onslaught of nonstop 60 to 90 minutes of that, especially that middle part, where you're just going like your jaw just keeps dropping further. Was it right place, right time? Yeah, sure. Like if again, it's an expectations game thing too. If you go into it saying I love a lot of Michael Bay movies, you might be disappointed by this one. I don't know if your standards are higher. I went in thinking this is gonna be some real dumb piece of crap action movie that might have cool effects, and I'll just get to kill a couple hours in a cold movie theater. No, it was like so. If you're gonna go watch it, maybe just take this part of the review. It wasn't that great, and then go watch it with that proper expectations. But yeah, definitely the way it hit. I love a good movie
Mhm.
theater experience. Those are special. Like we talked about earlier. We have Avatar coming out this year, which is basically just a movie theater experience. I don't know if I cut out. It was a movie theater experience movie,
You're still
and
there.
that's
Yeah.
the all that thing has. Like, there's nothing about that movie that has a legacy about it. Like, it wore off quickly, but now they're making three, four more. So to me, a special like when I saw Avatar, like you better believe I told everyone like go see that in a theater ASAP.
Right,
This was a
right,
similar
right.
type of deal. Like I texted my buddies after like go to the movie theater, go see
Mm.
Ambulance. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. Like again, like I think one of the reasons why I put Moonfall on my honorable mentions is because it same thing with me. Like I went there not expecting an opus, right? Not expecting this this like hugely deep enthralled plot storyline, right? It's just there because you know what to expect, right? And with Michael Bay movies, I feel like that's kind of the same vein. Um, I agree with the camera angles for sure. He fell in love with drones basically,
Mm-hmm.
and you had
Mm-hmm.
so many drone shots all throughout the film. And yeah, it was great to see Jake Gyllenhaal, act crazy. I would have
Oh,
to say that the runaway though it was Aisha Gonzalez, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. She was actually very very good in that movie. Like her acting, I thought was very very well done. I think she was in the Godzilla Kong movie. I think that was like another movie I saw her in, and I was not thinking of like that when I saw her and her acting in that movie, and she definitely stepped it up in this movie for sure. So cool. Um, since I went first, please by all means, why don't you take number four
oh,
and you take the lead on that?
oh, thank you so much, Renee.
Of course.
So number 4 is another action movie. This one is The Batman.
Nice.
I
Okay.
loved the. Is it? You didn't mention your honorable mention. Is it on your list?
It is also, funny enough, my number four.
Okay. So we can talk about it. We could do a little back and
Yeah,
forth. We
for
did
sure.
a full episode. I think it was our first episode was that we ever did, or
Um,
it was one of the first ones.
yeah,
The
actually,
Batman.
that was the debut of Movie Time with
Yeah.
us two, and you could check out that review that in that episode that we did on the channel there. But yeah, that was the first because the mindset going into that was you're not a huge comic book movie guy, but you do
Right.
enjoy watching them. So I wanted to see what someone who's like a cinephile who really loves cinema and movie, what their take on was going to be with the Batman, because in my opinion, it was probably the most cinematic superhero movie that we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Oof. Oh, that's tough. I'm gonna say like Joker and Dark Knight are gonna be up there, but like Birdman, I don't think you're counting that, right? But
Yeah,
otherwise, yeah, no, I'm with you. Like it is right up there, maybe the most, and if not for sure in the top few
yeah,
conversation all time. Yeah, I agree. That's kind of the conceit of our whole movie time deal is like I like the more artsy stuff, and you're more in the popular culture, kind of like things that people like stuff, and then we like compare notes, talk about.
right,
We have that intersection there. Batman was a perfect example.
yeah.
The
The
Batman, not to be
Batman.
confused with Batman or Man
Hmm.
Bat.
Yeah,
But yeah, that was a perfect example of that type of movie, one that made us like start this damn show.
right.
The I don't know what else to say about it. I'm sure if you're watching this, you've already seen it, or it's not going to be on your list, kind of thing. If you are in any way skeptical and you like high quality cinema, it's up there. Like it was a great movie. I don't know what kind of like prestige it's going to have or the legacy, like award season, anything like that. It was well received by critics, and the only people who I think didn't like it were like the casual fans who just wanted a fun time action movie thing because it was a little
Yeah,
darker than that. It was a little deeper than
right.
that, and it was smarter than that. So I think in the lobby, I heard a couple people doing that. I didn't get it kind of thing, but it was well done. I don't think we need to go back into it. If you want to hear all of we did a good hour to two on that
Yeah,
one in the archives. So
yeah. No, definitely. I mean, yeah. Just to cap it and sum it up. I mean, basically, the the cinematography was fantastic. The soundtrack and how it really affected certain scenes and highlighted certain scenes was really great. The acting for the most part was very very good all throughout. And the storyline, I mean, basically it's the detective Batman that we've always wanted to see, at least those true diehard Batman fans. This is the movie that we've always wanted to see. that's what may have thrown people off because we've never gotten that, right? It's always been like a little bit of story, a lot of action, a little bit of story, a lot of action, like that, you know. So seeing the Batman in his early stages of his career doing the detective work, you know, working with the police, you know, trying to solve clues in riddles and all that stuff like that. I thought it was just really, really well done. Yeah, so it will be, you know, interesting to see where this movie or the franchise will go with the sequels and all that stuff like that. But definitely one of the great versions of the Batman that we've seen on screen, and yeah, probably ranks in the at least top five conversation when it comes to most cinematic superhero movies out there. So yeah, so that's awesome that that's on both of our number four there. So and again, as we're going through this list, don't forget to chime in if something like rings to you or speaks to you. You know, how is the Batman for you? Is this somewhere along the lines of where you think it is on your top five, or maybe this ranks higher? You know, that could also be the case there. So definitely do let us know, and let's have a conversation about that. So number three. Okay, so number three. This is something on my list that uh, could have, I think, in my mind and in my opinion, has a very good chance at possibly being in your top five list if we were having this conversation. Um, if you've already seen this movie, and that is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. So Marcel the Shell with Shoes On was a property that I was not extremely familiar with, you know, until several months ago. I saw the movie trailer for it. You know, it's you know, produced by A24, um, but you know, it was one of those things where, oh, this is another quirky A24 movie, and this time it's, you know, animated, stop motion animation, and all that stuff like that. But once I started hearing like some of the dialogue and some of the interactions on screen, I thought it was very cute, you know. And then you told me about it because you are a huge fan of I forgot her name, Jenny Slate.
Jenny
And
Slate.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
So you know, when
sorry.
you
I'm
told
just
me,
find my phone
yeah.
was acting up so hard right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like, you know, you talked her up, and you know, I only remember her from that 1 year of SNL that she was on, and dropping the infamous F bomb that is a no no, a huge no no in the SNL world there. But I went to watch the movie. I was able to go to an early screening of it, and I saw it literally a week later at another screening where Jenny Slate had a Q&A session afterwards. And I got to tell you, this was probably the most heartwarming, charming, sweetest movie that I've seen in quite some time. And that's one of the reasons why it definitely made my top five list. The heart, you know, the character of Marcel, and how this, you know, little tiny shell with an eye and sneakers, how he perceives the world, you know, and the innocence, and you know, the interaction with the human embodiment there, that is, you know, the documentarian that is documenting his life, you know, the seek for community, the love of family, the you know, kind of bond that he has with his grandmother and the rest of the family there. So it was definitely something that, going into it, I had a small feeling that, you know, I think this is a movie I'm really gonna like, to just really falling in love with it. And I was like, again, for me to watch it twice, 1 week after the other, I would definitely watch it another time. And I do think this is a movie that the family in whole can enjoy. It's one of those really wholesome family type of movies from, to be quite honest, a character that for some could be very disturbing looking. You know, like, what the hell is this thing? That's why I thought it's very perfect for A24 to take over the helms of making sure that this movie goes out there. I believe it opens up nationwide here in the US this weekend. So I think that's going to be amazing. And more people are going to have their chance to watch it, because I think it's really, really well deserve that time for people to take out and check out the movie. So, and who would have thought A24 was able to put out a wholesome family movie for once? So yeah, so that is number 3 on my list there.
Yeah, I'm not. I obviously I haven't seen it yet, which is so maddening. I saw because this A24, Jenny Slate had one of the first like 10 A24 movies. It was they someone else directed it, but I got to see them do a Q&A afterward for Obvious
Mhm.
Child. Fully recommend that movie. Incredible. At that point, like there'd been a few A24 movies that I was aware of, but that was one of my first like I'm at their event. Like, okay, I'm a fan of what they do. Starting to like catch on to them, and then separately, Marcel the Shell short films out, and that was like a huge favorite. Like sharing it with everybody, watching it a million times. People come over, people put stuff on YouTube, put that on, kind of thing. And so then just being a Jenny Slate fan, saw her live, do live comedy in Brooklyn. Anything that she's touched, I'm basically a fan of. So then from that to like, okay, A24, Marcel the Shell movie, same original director of the short film, Jenny Slate. Like, I'm so mad because I was gonna go see the that Q&A thing you're talking about, then I had to miss it. And apparently Google thinks I asked about a French painter and is now explaining
Oh,
about this painter. I think we're
wow.
done.
Okay.
That's fun. I'm glad we have a lot of listeners in that are on the live feed. So, but yeah, no, I was supposed to go to that Q&A. I had to be in DC for that week, and then now I'm in Oklahoma traveling, and it comes here tonight. So I might not be able to see it for even a couple more days
Mhm.
with travel stuff. But I am so hyped for that movie. Thank you. I'm glad you're vouching for it. I know when you're going to it, I was like, I think he's gonna have a great time. Like this might
Yeah.
be a super special movie. I hope it has that little engine that could thing, like where it just lasts
Mhm.
in movie theaters and beats the box office expectations. I hope it has that. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah, because like right now,
From
I believe it's only available in like I think they said 7 theaters right now, like all across the
Wow,
U.S. Yeah.
wow,
So, and of course, those are probably all L.A. and New
yeah.
York.
Well,
Maybe
it makes
one
sense for a
in
limited release.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe one in Chicago, maybe one in like Texas, like that. Right. So yeah, so I'm really excited to see what's going to happen when the floodgates open and it's out there more, so people can really check it out. So hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this episode so far, but before we continue, I wanted to quickly talk about Bulletproof Coffee. Bulletproof Coffee is my favorite coffee of choice to start off my mornings with. Why? Because it's clean coffee. What does that mean? Well, one, there are no chemicals in it. Why? Because they go through this multi-step process of making sure that all of their beans are fully clean and free of any chemicals, so that when you get the beans delivered to you, it is the pure beans, the pure coffee, the goodness that you've been wanting, the taste, the flavor, and the nutritional value as well, without worrying about any added chemicals or anything else put into the mix there. It also doesn't have that weird acidic taste that some coffees give you. I don't know how about you, but for me, some coffees kind of give me that weird sensation in my stomach, makes me a little burpy, and it kind of drags me down a little bit instead of really waking me up, which is something that I need from my coffee every day. Bulletproof also offers a lot of keto-friendly snacks and supplements, anything that you need to kind of add to your everyday nutritional needs, add to your diet, and make you and pretty much transforms the way you feel every day. So for a limited time, if you use this code on that you see on the screen right now, LOWKEY GEEK, all caps one word, you can get 15% off your order. So what is it better than that, right? Check out the link in the description of this episode. Use this code, get yourself your discount, and make your mornings a little bit more bulletproof with Bulletproof Coffee. Now, back to the episode.
dude, I cannot wait. So,
Yeah.
for my number 3, we just talked about this in our last couple episodes. It's in theaters now. I won't do any spoilers for sure because of that. But Elvis, I know our episode. I was harder on this movie than
Yeah.
I am now. I've talked to friends who saw it. I've been in Oklahoma for like a week and a half, which I mentioned on the episode. Like that movie makes more sense at an Oklahoma theater than in New York. And I don't know, I was hard on it. So to quote Mr. Presley, I'm feeling a little less fight and a little more spark. Close your mouth and open your heart. And I talked a lot about the movie and like was trying to think of like things like, okay, I had this issue with it, that issue, whatever. It's grown on me. I was watching old Elvis interviews today. I just had and it also today in particular. I had like I just geeked out on Elvis. I listened to a
Mhm.
podcast about it, and then just like went and watched old videos and hearing people talk about the historical accuracies, inaccuracies, etc. We get into all that in our episode, so I'm
Yeah.
not going to belabor it. But the movie has definitely grown on me since it left. Somebody made the point that like if you do another Elvis biopic, it was a New York Times podcast. They were saying if you do another Elvis biopic, you can't do it based on spectacle and scale because you're not going to get bigger than this movie. And as far as that aspect, it did that very
Yeah.
damn well.
Yeah.
Someone can do a more accurate one on the without the entertainment spectacle aspect of it. That's that hope that'd be cool to see someone do an accurate Elvis behind the scenes when he's having a bad
Mhm.
day, getting broken up, like doing more dramatic acting. But as far as the spectacle, this movie knocked it out of that aspect. They knocked it out of the park. So that's why
Yeah.
it's number 3 on my year so far list.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, look, it happens a lot where, kind of the opposite of what we talked about at Ambulance, where maybe you go into a movie, you watch it, and you still like the movie, but it wasn't like this big, revelation for you. But then the more you think about it, the more it lingers in your mind, you already know that that's a good movie then, because the fact that it has you constantly thinking about it, constantly having discussions and conversations about it. So it definitely affects us later. And it's funny, as you were saying about spectacle and all that stuff like that. For some reason, I started thinking like, what if we had like the Doors version of Elvis, directed by like Coppola or or something like dead serious, like just like a behind the scenes kind of like Aaron Sorkin-ish, or maybe even like a
Wait.
like a
Sorry.
Fincher.
There's maybe I'm missing what you're saying because there is an Oliver Stone directed The Doors movie.
I
You're
know.
saying if they did that, but for Elvis, where it was just super
Yes.
dramatic?
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah. Like drop the spectacle, drop the fun, right? And
yeah,
just do the raw
yes.
bones, the dirty, all that stuff.
Aaron Sorkin, Steve Jobs, that kind of thing. Like 24 hours
Yes.
in his life in
Yes.
1956, in 1966, and
Yep.
1970, like something like that. That would be.
Yep.
I actually do kind of want to see that. Damn.
Right. Right.
Let's go make
Like
it
like
$1,000,000. Let's write that in the
let's
script.
let's
Damn.
go. Let's go. You know what? We're gonna crowdfund this venture.
Yeah.
Link will be in the description. Because it would be funny. Yeah, what if we took one moment, right,
Mm-hmm.
in
Oh yeah.
all of the decades of Elvis's life, right, and just see like, okay, how the progression is, how the interaction is, right, and all that.
Yeah.
It'll be
I love
pretty
that.
entertaining and interesting.
Started as it's a play. It's not even a fucking movie. It's so bare bones.
Yeah, yeah,
Cameras don't even. It's too much spectacle. Yeah.
right, right.
And then what? Maybe we could skip like the movie part of Elvis's career and just do like
Yeah, sure.
just and
Yeah,
maybe not super fat Elvis. Maybe just like kind of fat Elvis.
like
Like do
semi,
that.
like as he's getting like
Yeah.
slightly there, but not quite. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
He's sweaty. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
He's got a sheen on him, but
yeah,
it's more of a sheen
yeah.
than a full out schwitz.
There you go.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Yeah, but that's not what this movie was, and they did
No.
a great job of not being that.
Yeah.
Um, am I up for number 2?
Let's see who went to. Yeah. You could go ahead and tackle number 2, but yeah, just a final reminder. Again,
Yeah.
we could talk about Elvis for a very long time. We obviously both equally found it entertaining. It didn't make my list, but I did enjoy the movie quite a bit. And I think for the most part, it was also because of the phenomenal acting by from Austin Butler and Tom Hanks to a certain extent. I feel like give and take on that one. But if you want to see our full thoughts on the movie, we did a full episode about it. You can check it out on the channel there. But yeah, take it away there, Blake.
Elvis was a polarizing movie in that like you weren't sure how to feel about it. So it's one of those I've listened to a lot of stuff about it. Definitely go check out that episode if you're like sussing out
Yeah.
your feelings or right after you
Hmm.
watch it. The number 2, our episode on this one was not ambiguous at all. It was The Northman, and we absolutely adored it. It was in one of
Ooh,
our
yeah.
earlier ones.
Yeah.
I I don't like just go watch that because I was geeking out on that episode. I have no regrets about the level of geeking out. I saw it again in theaters. I hit up every single friend. It was like, go see this, let me know. And they would hit me up after and be like, yo, you're right. That was perfect. Um, for that kind of movie. I'm sure if someone went in, similar to the Batman, if someone went in just expecting some dumb popcorn stuff, they'd probably be like, that was weird and made it a little bloody. It, for what it was, perfect movie. For
Hmm.
Alexander Skarsgård, who's not a great actor, it might be the best role he'll ever have. Where he's like just he's perfectly used for that. For this director said like because it didn't make its money back at the box office, or if it did,
Yeah.
it got close. But my understanding is the director is saying like not only they're not going to get a budget like that, they don't want one. It was almost like a
Yeah.
hassle. Like after Lighthouse was successful, someone gave them money, and they're like, okay, here's what I'll do with that, and then
Mhm.
I'm almost kind of glad, but it was a very special, like one-off kind of movie that we're probably not going to get something like that very often. Like an indie, mid-sized budget, just it felt like nonstop action. Like it felt like, sorry, it felt like a car chase movie where similar to Ambulance, where the whole time just like my blood is pumping and edge
Mhm.
of my seat and just going, no way, this is amazing. That was an experience, and unlike Ambulance, like it was actually well done in all categories: writing, directing, cinematography, acting, etc. So, yeah, that's my number two, Northman. And if you want to hear me geek out properly, then definitely go check that out. That our episode on that.
Yeah, no, that was a fun episode for us, and yeah, I definitely also really enjoyed that movie too. It again didn't make my top five, but it's definitely one of those movies that I enjoyed that I've watched so far this year. For director Robert Eggers, he is just from the indie world, right? And the fact that they gave him so much money to work on this movie, it didn't go to waste for sure. Like a lot of the visual effects, a lot of the cinematography was very, very well done. I'm a sucker for one shots. I've said this multiple times, and there's this amazing one shot sequence that happens
Mm.
during like one of the invasions, and I was, it's your blood is pumping, the adrenaline is flowing, like all the macho action like that you would think that comes along with like Viking type of movies. You got this right. But you also had good story in it too. You had a good, not a lot of dialogue, but a good. You get to you really totally understand the journey that Skarsgård's character goes through, and the people that he meets, and the family dynamics there too, because that played very heavily in the movie as well. Um, so yeah, so I don't blame you for having it on your top five. I think it's a very very well deserved movie for sure.
I agree, Renee. I agree. Thank you.
Very well done. Well done there. And yeah, and like, he said, if you want to check us out and then, talk more about this movie and, how much we enjoyed it when we saw it, another episode you could check out there on the channel if you haven't seen it yet. So, my number two. Now, this is where it gets interesting for me because I feel like my one and two, depending on the month, depending on the week, sometimes depending on the day, they could actually switch back and forth on. So as I was preparing this list, I was really sitting down and really, really thinking, okay, let's forget certain things. Let's try to look at this, really, really thoughtfully and thoroughly. Which number would this movie fall on? When I think of like the grand scheme of everything that I've seen so far, and how well the movie was done and everything like that. So, my number two, that's one of the reasons why Top Gun Maverick is my number two movie
Woo!
of the year. Everything that you said about the campiness and all that, 1000%. That's the main reason of this movie. Because it's a sequel to such a legacy 80s movie that we haven't got to see anything from these characters in over 30 years, right? So now Tom Cruise is back. Of course he's older, but he's, bringing back Maverick. You see the dynamic he has with the Navy and how their relationship is and his reputation, and then, you know, the relationship with Goose's son. Again, this is not a huge spoiler. He's in the trailer. They tell you already. Although it would have been great. Well, I think you're muted. I
Am I
don't
down?
hear
Can you
you.
hear
Oh,
me?
there you go. There you go. Okay.
I was just saying, yeah, not only is Son in the trailer, it's wearing the same mustache with the same
Right.
sunglasses
Yeah.
in a similar shirt, playing the same song on the piano, and then
Right.
they go play
Exactly.
football very
Yep.
similarly.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I mean,
spoiler alert, he takes off his shirt on the beach. I'm sure everyone's seen it.
oh no. Yeah. I don't know how they could have hidden that part of the movie out from the trailers. I mean, it does play a huge part, throughout it all. But I love how they just took everything from the original movie and they improved on it. And they even actually gave us a full story. Like there was like something to follow from the beginning to the end. There was an actual crisis that they had to prep for instead of something that's just like, oh, by the way, there's a huge mission. You guys need to go for it. All that stuff like that. So it really, really kind of improved on the things that a lot of us were making fun of from the original movie. And they gave it a little bit more stakes. They gave a lot more character building moments. And I just really, and the action and the flow of a lot of those scenes, I don't think we've ever seen since the 80s. It really made you feel like this was a modern 80s movie. And it really, really like worked for me. And I've seen the movie 2 times. Each time I saw it, people were going nuts in the theaters, all generations, all that stuff. Yeah, it was just a mind-blowing experience, phenomenal. Again, this was my most anticipated movie of 2022. If you go back to last year, I did again another episode you could check out on the channel there. When I went into my review, I pulled up clips of like previous videos and episodes that I did where I mentioned that this was my most anticipated movie of the year because I felt like it had that potential to be phenomenal. And I was not let down. I was totally correct. And I'm happy that it made me happy and it made so many other people happy. And it was just a fun ride from beginning to end. And, I I know they're talking about another sequel now. I kind of wish they won't. But the good thing is that, Tom Cruise makes a lot of the decisions, especially with this franchise. He refused to let this movie stream on Paramount Plus, even though Paramount was like begging for him to do so. He's like, nope. This movie is going directly to the theater when it's good and ready to do so. And I think he was brilliant in that aspect and thinking about that. So, yeah, Top Gun Maverick, number 2, baby.
I mean, the fact that that's your number 2 now, I definitely know what your number 1 is. But I don't. I'm not going to belabor. We're not going to debate Top Gun Maverick right now. But you are entrenching me, and I'm going to become anti Top Gun Maverick starting today because you've been just so intense in your love for this movie for too long, and I can't oblige it any longer. I can no longer sit here and watch everyone just act like it's an amazing movie. So I will become anti. I was like, oh no, it was good, it was fun, and now I'm going to be like, that movie sucked. Worst movie all time. Huge
Perfect.
disappointment. Tom Cruise, more like Tom Boo. Something like that.
Oh,
But I'm working on it. Today's the first day I've decided to be anti that movie. Fight me. So it sounds like we have the same number 1 movie. Are you ready to?
yeah, you want to say it at the same time?
On the count of 3. Yeah. Okay. After 1, 2, 3. After 3. So
What? No, okay.
1,
1,
2.
2.
Minions.
No.
Right. Rise of
What?
Gru.
Jack? What?
What did you say?
I was gonna say Jurassic World Dominion.
Oh, Minions. With the crossover when they did Jurassic World Dominions,
Right.
and it was about
Yeah.
Dominions that are in Jurassic
Right.
World because they have to follow T-Rex. That was cool.
That's right. Jurassic
That's
World
why it's our number 1.
Dominions.
The 2 greatest
Exactly.
IPs of all time. No, for
Yeah.
real, you already know what it is. Everything,
Thing everywhere, all at
all
once.
at the same time, forever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good,
that
good,
movie
and
ruled.
good old internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Why don't you take away first on this one? So,
Watch the damn episode about it. We were fully into it going off, and that's our most popular episode to date, partially because like there wasn't enough content. There weren't enough people who were like on top of that movie and were like ready for it to be great. I saw the trailer and it was what I expected, exceeded expectations, absolutely amazing. The it was just brilliant, top down. Whatever kind of genre of movie you like, whatever you like about movies, action, acting, directing, etc. Like on and on. The writing was absolutely phenomenal. The editing, absolutely phenomenal. I remember when we reviewed it, it was like it was early and we weren't sure how the
Yeah.
crowd would be responding. And I
Yeah.
was like, the question was like awards. Now we're closer to the end of the year, and obviously we're gonna have a lot of awards movies at the end of the year. This could be a movie that the Oscars basically ignore and go like, "Oh yeah, it's a superhero movie. We don't look at those." It could be a movie that cleans up pretty
Mhm.
nicely, at least like depending on where it is. I on which awards. I don't know what to expect for the future of this movie. What I do expect is for decades, people will watch this movie and be like, "Oh my god, that's special." So worse,
Yeah.
it's a cult classic kind of thing. But even like not one that's like can't be bad cult classic, but like in 20 years, some high schoolers will be like, "Yo, you haven't seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, dude? We got to watch that. We're gonna have a watch party at my house this weekend," kind of
Mhm.
thing. Like we did that with certain movies from like Top Gun could have like in some ways like in my journey like was that movie where we missed it in theaters and like oh yeah it's special it's cool. This movie is special in all the
Mhm.
ways. Philosophically deep, legitimately funny, great action. Like I both am like pumping my fist at the action scenes and weeping within like moments back and forth. Like it was everything you could want from a movie. If you haven't seen it yet, drop your expectations. Go see it immediately wherever
Was it
it's now on
everything
streaming
everywhere all at once?
that you could ever want it to be. And it's on streaming now, and like I'm hyped about that because there's a lot. There's some moments where I'd seen it, I think 4 times, maybe 5 in theaters, and like you just want to hit pause, rewind, like just see what they're doing with some of this editing. If you've seen it, you already know what it is. If you haven't, I don't want to get into it and ruin anything. Once you go watch it, though, go watch our episode on that because that was like our fresh take, and we were
Yeah.
fully like eyes wide open, just like so hyped about that movie. I still feel that way to this day.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, no,
Love
for
it.
sure. Like it always brings a huge smile to my face every time someone mentions this movie. We were lucky enough that we did see it early on. Like we saw it before it was limited release. I think we saw it like during like special like audience screenings or just like test. Hey, promo screenings. This movie's coming out. We want people to spread the word and all that stuff like that. And then it released like kind of like limited run, and then I felt like every week it was like opening to more and more theaters slowly because the word of mouth was just so strong. Um, I, again, if you really want to hear us really truly geek out on this movie, we did a full episode, on the channel there, and we were just gushing over the movie, and in brilliant filmmaking form too. This is for this pick for us was foreshadowed ever since our episode started, hence the shirt that I'm wearing. So if someone was really paying attention, they would have been like, oh, I bet you their number one movie is Everything Everywhere All at Once because of all the googly eyes on the A24 logo there. But no, the acting, the story, the I love the editing in this movie. The surprise, performances from people we were not expecting to really, gush over. The fact that it is a Michelle Yeoh movie that was not her typical movie. We got to see really a lot of her acting chops and doing drama and comedy and emotion and of course there's action in there too, but to have all of that in one movie and to have all of these type of like feelings in one movie, the philosophy behind some of the things they were talking about, just it's just so well done. When you mention like this is going to be eventually like a cult classic, I do think this is going to be like one of those movies like a Blade Runner, where it totally came out, bombed at the theater, right? But then what? 30 years later, people keep talking about like how that was like the pivotal moment in sci-fi and how like it didn't really influence a lot of sci-fi filmmakers moving forward and everything like that. So I do feel like a movie like this will definitely have that cult following for many, many years to come because I have not, and I don't know if you have, I have not heard one person shit on this movie. I have not heard
No,
one person
no,
say anything negative.
no. Not only that, like everybody's, and maybe it's like my circle of friends or something like that. Like seeing it in Brooklyn theaters was nice. People were giving applause breaks in the middle of the movie
Yeah.
and after the movie. All of my friends, like, this is our perfect combination of movies. Like, everyone who saw it was like, yo, they would call me, not a text.
Hmm.
They would call me, like, yo, can we talk about this, please? And I would point to the YouTube episode and be like, fuck out of here. No, we would talk about
There
it
you
because
go.
I love sharing the joy of this movie so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And so that was special. And then also, like, yes, to the Blade Runner comparison, that's a good one of like a weird action movie combo. This one, I think, like, it does other things that Blade Runner doesn't do, but it's also
Oh yeah.
like that might be more culty. I don't know. I'm still not quite sure the legacy of this movie, but I will say it's definitely not a box office flop. They had a budget of 25 million. They're so far at 93, and this past weekend is the first weekend it wasn't in the top 10 since it dropped wide. So now we're talking about, like, what was that, few months or so?
Yeah. At least three
It starts
months.
off, and it is still now the best grossing A24 movie of
Yep.
all time. It passed that mark earlier than even recently. So just shout out to that movie. I don't know where those directors go from here. It's almost one of those. It's like they're almost mad that it was so
Yeah.
successful because they're like, what the
Yeah.
fuck am I supposed to do? Like, the interviews with them are really fun. I would suggest, if you've watched our episode, if you've done the deep dives on it, and you want just like it's endless the amount of joy you can pull from this movie. The cast interviews where everyone's like so happy to be there and be involved in this beautiful project.
Yeah.
Looking at some of their short films that they made earlier in their career. I've listened to so many like podcast interviews with those directors, and like they're a delight. Like, I don't know, everything about this movie, from like behind the scenes production,
Hmm.
I we don't need to geek out on it again.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see the only difference between our first episode and now is like hindsight, and we were right to be so hyped about it.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking at like a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, there was a minute where it was the best reviewed movie on Letterboxd since Parasite, and
Right.
like I don't know if it's still there, but like that's the kind of level of hype we're talking about. And that hype isn't just like a weird fluke or something. Like,
Yeah.
it has legs. I don't know what the future holds for it, but damn, I'm excited about that movie again after talking about it for like 3 minutes. Hell yeah.
Yeah, no, like I think it was 2 weekends ago. I finally got my Blu-ray copy of it in the mail, and that weekend was just my. It was like the best weekend. Like, it wasn't crappy to begin with, but it just made it so much better. I was like, yes, now I get to, like you said, pause here, rewatch this. One of the things I've always wanted to kind of pause throughout was that one moment where she is just flashing back to so many different versions and realities, and you get a glimpse of, like, oh, like an animated version of her or whatever the case is. So I just wanted to see what all that looked like, and yeah, so it was just, again, yeah, we could go on and on and on about this movie, but yeah, if you're not tired of listening to us gush over movies and stuff like that, definitely check out our episode of Everything Everywhere All at Once. It is one of our most successful so far movie time episodes, so we're very proud of that episode too. And we loved everyone who chimed in and commented, and people that were saying that this movie really touched them, and especially hearing from some of the Asian community saying that, I grew up in this type of family dynamic environment and all that, and how I can totally relate to the relationship between mom and daughter and all that. So, like, it was really, really great hearing those people with their comments and responding and having conversations. So again, it is like you said, it led to so many conversations and so many discussions that people are still having today, because not everyone has seen this movie yet, and every time someone watches it for the first time, it opens up that whole conversation again, right? So yeah, really, really well done, and very unexpected. So yeah, it is true. I am very curious as to where the Daniels go from here. I just hope it's not going to be another situation like Mick G from back in the day, who like blew
Uh,
up once, and then like, I think Mick G comes to mind because Mick G started off also as like a music video director. The Daniels also have history in that. Mick G did one
right.
thing that blew up, and then he became kind of like a laughing stock in Hollywood. I don't want this to happen to these guys because they
No
are
way.
funny. They are very humble. They're funny. They're a great follow on Twitter. Because the kind of posts and comments that they put on other people's posts is hilarious. Because they're always demeaning themselves, which is
Yes,
the best
love to
thing.
see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I
So this yeah.
Their next move has to just be like a fully straightforward Abraham Lincoln documentary or something like that. Just like totally reset the palette, dude. You're
It's
not
like
getting. I don't. Yeah.
the story of Anne Frank again, like that. Yeah,
Like one of the Coen brothers now is doing plays on Broadway or
that's right.
like
Yeah,
live
yeah,
theater. It's like
yeah.
what are you supposed to do after this career? Like you can only keep
Right.
one upping yourself so many times,
Hmm.
and yeah, just pursue something else. Like honestly, if they phoned it, if they just like hung it up, I'd be like, okay, you did it. You did. Like I'm looking at it right now. Top on Letterboxd all time movies, narrative features they
Hmm.
call it, as opposed to documentaries. It's number 10. It was number one for a minute. Then like enough people see it, and like people are like,
Sure.
okay, we're gonna re-review it because we were a little too excited. Still
Yeah.
top 10. It's on my top 10 on Letterboxd. Yeah, there's no amount of words for like I'm so glad that was in this year, and it's something
Yeah.
because there aren't a ton of movies for us to talk about that we're that hyped about, and thank God for everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, good point because I remember one of the complaints we had was that last year ended up like so huge with all these
Yeah,
movies that just came out of
yeah.
nowhere, right? So it was nice to kind of have like that break in the first half of the year, but it's also great that they sprinkled in some amazing gems that again, this was not I was not expecting this movie to be as great as it was. I fell in love with the trailer, so I knew I had to watch it and it just blew my mind. So, and it blew a lot of other people's minds as well. So, yeah, let us know again in the comments if you've never watched that episode of us talking about the movie. If you're brand new and you didn't know, what were your thoughts about everything everywhere all at once if you had a chance to see it? And if you haven't, what's wrong with you? Why haven't you seen it yet? You should go stop what you're doing. Well, no, finish watching this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and then go watch the movie. Because you definitely are not going to miss out. Again, if you're into that type of movie, you could totally not be, and then you probably be like, "What the fuck are these guys talking about?" But I don't think you'll be disappointed, regardless. There. So that being said, the awesome list from both of us. I really love those kind of conversations. But with every good, there also comes the bad, and this year was no exception so far. There have been some disappointments and movies that we ended up just really, really wishing we never went to go see. So, why don't you go first here? And again, we don't have to go too much into these movies, but definitely let us, we'll let everyone know why these movies made our disappointment list of the year so far.
There were movies where I was like, oh, I expected better, and I was kind of mildly disappointed. Or like Thor, I thought it could have been great, and it was good. These movies were spectacularly bad. The disappointment and feeling like I wasted my money and I might write a letter to the studio saying like send me $17 that I wasted on your piece of crap. You took an opportunity and squandered it. All of these are IP. My three are Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Who Cares, Death on the Nile, or as just death. Like that's what it felt like being in that movie. And
Depth to
Jurassic,
some careers.
yeah, golly. And then Jurassic World Dominions, which if they had had a minion in there, it would have made the movie way better. There were no minions in Jurassic World Dominion, despite the title, and it was a severe disappointment. All I wanted halfway through was one of those little like the dudes who pop up, shoot, and then they shoot the acid in your face and you go blind. I wanted one of them to just do that to me. I was praying for
In
it
the
the entire
movie.
time.
Right.
No, like in the theater, like to my eyeballs, and
Oh,
I'd be like,
oh,
oh, well, now I never get to enjoy cinema again. But at least I don't have
okay.
to sit through the second half of this shit movie.
Understood.
Obviously, I'm being bitchy, but those were all movies where I was pretty mad about them afterward, and I skew towards like Thank you for making this movie. I'm not going to complain about it. I review things about 1 star higher than the average rating,
Hmm.
even movies that I kind of like. These were 3 where I was just like, damn. And some of it, like I was looking forward to each of them in their own way, and then you start to hear things. You're like, surely it's not that bad. Nope, that bad. Doctor Strange, like that's kind of more of a mixed reviews one. Some people like it, or I like some things about it, but Death on the Nile was one of those. Don't put it in, like, don't buy it, or and don't definitely don't put it in like a Blu-ray player, or else your Blu-ray player will quit on you and then just like jump off the shelf.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So bad,
yeah. Your Blu-ray
so bad.
player will like literally break down in front of you in full on tears and just say, "Why? Why are you doing this to me?"
Yeah, Hercule Poirot, the main character played by Kenneth Branagh. Is that right? I'm
That is
just
right.
That's so weird still. Okay. The
That
first
is
one was
right.
good. I liked the first one. That's the problem. No,
Hmm.
what would happen is somebody would be rolling in their, like Agatha Christie would be rolling in her grave about seeing this movie, and he'd be like, "Oh, I need to solve the mystery of what the hell happened," and then he'd just shoot himself because he was so disappointed by this movie, and he would stop being a detective. He'd be dead and be like, "Oh, we know what happened. Dude saw Death on the Nile and killed himself." That's
Right.
how bad the movie was if he knew he was in it. That's all I got to say. I'm glad we got to end on a really high note of
Oh
how
yeah.
fucking terrible Death on the Nile was.
And you're not wrong, because Death of the Nile totally made my list too. I mean, I so when it came to the first one, I enjoyed that movie too. I thought I loved the concept about it, and I love that they were bringing back kind of like that murder mystery type of movie. I think Knives Out blew it out of the water as far as like that genre of movie and that topic. So I thought, kind of like a high bar now to fill in when this movie came out. But my God, was this movie awful? It was so painful to watch. It was you just didn't know. I felt like a lot of the people in the movie were in different movies. There was like no rhyme or reason throughout for the acting. The set design and the
Yeah,
effects were just god awful. I mean, I'll never forget the one scene where this guy is like right by the pyramid, and I'm just
yeah,
like, this looks so terrible. It's so
yeah,
bad. It didn't whisk me away to the period of that time in Egypt and on the Nile and stuff like that. It didn't work. Nothing worked. I did like that we got a little bit of the Pearl character, a little bit of his background and all that, and blah blah blah. But that was what 5 to 10 minutes out of the whole
yeah.
movie. That
No, Renee. I went to the bathroom during that scene. I'm
That's
not
right. I
kidding.
remember you
I
told me
go,
that.
oh, they're about to
Yes.
do a little bit of exposition. I'm not sure. I could
Yeah.
probably, I have to go. And then I came back, and there was like, and that's how I got the mustache. I was like,
Right.
oh, was that the interesting part? Oh no. And then the whole rest of the movie happened for
Yeah.
no good reason. It was one
Yeah.
of those where like it was actually embarrassing. Kind of like there's movies that are so bad they're funny, or there's movies that are like, oh, it's not my kind of movie. It was like a shitty horror movie, but the horror movie
Mm.
people liked it, or a comic, whatever. This one was just like cringy in the like nobody like why does this exist? This would be embarrassing. Like imagine, I'm sure Gal Gadot, the same person who did the Imagine song on YouTube after COVID, like I'm sure she had a great time at the premiere and was like, "Oh yeah, that was really fun. We all did a good thing together." But similarly, just like that's
Yeah.
too many flops in recent years, Gal,
Yeah.
between that and Wonder Woman, um, the newest one. This is not Gal Gadot's fault. This is everyone's fault who was involved,
Oh
and
yeah.
somebody should have just like almost pulled it. Like it's not so bad that like people were jumping off of the railing of the movie theaters, but it was
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
If I watched this on a boat, I would have absolutely. That was on the Nile. I absolutely would have jumped off. They'd be like, "No, there's crocodiles or alligators." That's fine. I don't care. No, it wasn't even like it wasn't dramatically bad, like in a funny way. Like we're almost sensationalizing how bad it was. It
No.
was just like,
Yeah.
why?
Uh
Or like a bad story that somebody tells. They're not good at
yeah.
telling stories, that kind of thing. Where it's like, when will this be over?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's definitely like one of those moments where, you always have that one person at work who thinks they're good at telling stories, and
yep,
everyone's just waiting
yep,
for that story to end. It's just
yep,
like, where is this
yep.
story going? This movie was just so bad that I wouldn't even recommend it or nominate it for like a bad movie night. Like I just would not,
Yeah. Yes.
because you want a way to lose friends, you want a way to just like have a shitty night. This movie will make you have a shitty night because there's nothing even to really poke fun at. There's like,
No,
you know,
it's not a
I can't.
fun shitty at all.
No,
It's
no.
just the just everyone would leave that and be like, okay, well, I guess I'll go home now. Nobody would even hug
Yeah,
or say I love
yeah,
you or goodbye.
right.
They'd be like
Yeah,
walking away slowly. Okay,
yeah.
life is pointless if shit like this exists.
Right. It's like, all right, you're not going to finish the rest of this pizza, right? All right, I'm going to take it home with me. It's like one of those things. It's like, um, if the Mystery Science Theater crew got together and they put this movie, they probably would just end the episode early because it's that painful. It's really painful.
Be the first one. They don't have to say anything the entire time. They're just
Oh yeah,
quiet, just
yeah.
like, and they just you hear a sighing. Then somebody
Right.
falls asleep. That's it. Yeah.
Right. Or aside because it's like, well, they paid us to do this, so I guess we're just gonna have to sit here and do this, but I really don't want to. I'm like, God,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go to the bathroom, never returns. Like it's just like it's just the puppets there now, and all that. But yeah, it's really that bad. So but yeah, so that was definitely the number one on my disappointment list there for sure. And the rest of the movies I have here are Morbius. I mean, Morbius was another painful watch for me. I know you didn't see it, but it's like one of those movies where you didn't see it. Well, then don't bother because
Yeah.
you're not missing
That's
anything
why.
really. Yeah. I don't know how it plays in with the whole Sony Spider-Man world that they're trying to build over there, but I thought Venom 2 was bad. Like this was like even worse than that for me. And I don't think it's the fault of Jared Leto. Like he was okay in the movie. He wasn't like terrible. I just think the movie was put together really badly. The script was bad. The dialogue was like sometimes laughable. And I don't know. I don't. I know there's some people who liked it, but I am not one of them. So
I can't imagine it affects the future of the Sony Marvel situation because do you think that they like, oh, should we have a Morbius sequel? What are we going to call it? More BS?
hey, frum.
Morbius burn. Thanks.
Well done, well done. I have to give you a clap
More
for
like
that. That is,
less
yeah.
BS. Less BS. More
Well, maybe if there was more lesbians in it,
and
I
less
would have won.
BS. Yeah, got
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Got it.
yeah. Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, it was. Well, again, not, and I won't spoil anything. I did a separate video on this whole thing on the channel as well. But at the end, it does try to tie in to the Sony Spider-Man universe in a weird, confusing way that I don't know what their plans are anymore moving forward with that. Because it negated a lot of things that we thought might happen or that we thought that this character now is going to be involved in and all that. It kind of negated and confused a lot of that crap. So again, you didn't see it, you ain't missing nothing. So, and if there's something that refers to it in the future, if you want, I'm sure there's like a 2-minute YouTube video out there that just gives you the plot and everything. Yeah. Just be like, here, this is all the movie beats and everything like that. Right. So, yeah, the rest of my list here, Jurassic World Dominion. I mean, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, this was a major franchise that I love the original. The original is almost, in my mind, a masterpiece. It's like in my top 10 of all time. Just very, very well done as far as like the blockbuster movies are concerned with like fun roller coaster rides and what have you. And I feel like they've been trying to recapture that same magic for a very long time with all the sequels, and they've always kind of missed the mark. I liked, in a way, the first Jurassic World because it gave us, I think, as an audience, what we've been waiting for: a full functioning park, and then shit goes haywire, right? And then how that plays out. So I did enjoy that. And then they went into this weird Planet of the Apes dystopian thing later on, which, okay, I see where you're going. But we were hoping now in this movie, we were going to see how does that really play out. Oh my God. It was just why are we focused on bugs? Why are we focused on, why is everyone now okay that there are dinosaurs around? Like we didn't see that progression at all. Yeah, it was
No.
fun to see the original legacy OG characters come back, and probably the any saving grace moments of the movie was because they were on screen at
Oh
the
yeah.
time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because they've done it before. They've been in this rodeo, so they have that great chemistry there. However, the chemistry between those guys and the new crew just didn't work at all. It was just like really painful to watch and all that. And I did feel like they tried to recapture a lot of the original kind of moments from the first movie that really didn't play out as great as probably it could have been, right? So it was a major disappointment for me. Not as bad as Fallen Kingdom, not as bad as the last movie, in my opinion, because the last movie was just god awful. But yeah, just a huge disappointment for me. Um, and then last on my list is Sonic 2. I know that's going to surprise a lot of people.
Oh,
Yeah, I loved the first movie. It was a lot of
same.
fun. It surprised me. It was nice to see Jim Carrey back to 90s Jim Carrey mode, which was like great. We didn't get enough of that, in my opinion, in this movie. And a lot of the things that made the first movie great, they didn't really have that much of in the second movie. But it definitely it resonated with all the young kids because they were eating it up left and right. And from what I've heard, a lot of the younger kids and generation love this movie. They had a lot of fun with it, and that's great. And that's awesome because if you are a fan of the Sonic franchise, they did reveal and bring things into the movie that you would recognize and you would hoping and wishing to see for a very long time. Idris Elba as the voice of Knuckles was great. His portrayal was actually really good in this movie, but the movie as a whole was a little bit of a disappointment for me because I felt like it lost a lot of that charm from the original movie. So yeah, so that is my list there. Anything to add to any of that?
No, I got the. There's the. I definitely don't want to end on this. No, no. So we've got our look forward to ones.
Yes, yes,
That I'm excited about because I need to get the taste of these shitty movies out of my mouth.
yeah, yeah. So again, let us know in the comments. Do you agree with
Yeah.
us? If you want to make a case for why Death of the Nile should be on your top
Good
five,
luck.
movies of the year so far, we want to hear it. We want to see.
I
Do
would
your
love
best.
to.
Do your best. Come at us because I'd love to know why that would be
If you
ever
change my
considered.
mind about Death in the Nile, I'll anything. Like I don't care. Like yeah, I'll marry whoever you want me to.
There you
I'll
go.
yeah, whatever. I'll fight
Yeah.
myself instead of you in the comments. Like
Yeah.
change our minds, make a case. I am curious if somebody did like one of these disappointment movies. Which happens to me sometimes. Every now and then there's one that
Sure.
everybody hates, and I love it. And then like every now and then somebody else is like, oh, I didn't consider that. Maybe it actually was good. Those are fun
Yeah.
combos to have. I like
Oh
these
yeah.
convos.
Always.
I did
Yeah.
not like these
Always.
movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's always good to hear because movies resonate with people in so many different ways, right? And it could be at a right time, right moment. A movie could be amazing for them, while the same another person at that same time and will think, no, this is the worst piece of shit that I ever seen. But it's good to know why. It's good to know why people really enjoyed what they enjoy, and it does lead to great, fantastic conversations. You and I, we have these conversations all the time, so it's always a lot of fun. And we may hear pushback on Jurassic World Dominion because I know there are people out there who did enjoy that movie, or at the very least saying it's not as bad as people are saying it is. Which could very well be. It could very well be the case. But I just remember rolling my eyes a lot and
Yeah.
just were there some action scenes that worked? Yes. Not, I would say like 100% of the film is not crap, but a
Yeah.
good
No.
80% is
Yeah.
just not that good at all. So yeah, let us know. We want to hear it. Let's have a conversation to talk about. But yeah, let's clear the air. let's take a deep breath. We'll count to five for a little bit, as we now think of what is coming down the line in the future for movies for the rest of 2022. What are we looking forward to? I think my list is a little shorter than yours, so I could be wrong, but
I'm narrowing mine down. I
okay,
shortlisted a whole bunch of them. I think I'm going to try to get myself down to like five. Like five, I'm most excited about. We
sure,
might mention a few other honorable mentions, but yeah.
yeah,
Um, However you want to go.
yeah. So I'll take a quick stab at it myself here. So some honorable mentions for the rest of the year. Obviously, I'm a huge comic book movie guy. I love superhero movies. Um, there aren't a lot for the rest of the year, but there are two that stand out, and that's Black Adam and Shazam, which is funny because they're actually kind of from the same portion of the DC universe there. So I am very curious. Black Adam, The Rock has been talking about this movie forever. I don't know, like at least more than 5 years. And I want to see how it finally turns out. And Shazam was kind of like a big surprise for me on how much I enjoyed that first movie. So I'm very curious to see how it's going to continue there. But moving down my list for movies I'm looking forward to, Nope. Jordan Peele's latest
Nope.
movie. Like I am
Nope.
totally looking forward to checking out that movie, because he is, I think, taking over the reins from M. Night Shyamalan as being our modern day Hitchcock in a way. So
I
that's
like
my
that take.
opinion.
I
My
love that.
opinion.
I like that.
We'll
Makes
s-
sense.
we'll s- we'll see after we see this movie if it still remains that way. But I'm definitely looking forward to that. The one thing that really stood out when I saw the trailer was the latest from Olivia Wilde, and that's "Don't Worry, Darling," starring Harry Styles and Florence Pugh. I think Florence Pugh is an amazing actress. I have not seen a movie of hers that I thought, was disappointing or anything like that. She is like definitely your rising stars in this industry. Harry Styles has, of course, made also a major name for himself, and his acting is starting to really come across as, hey, this is a pretty decent avenue for him to go along with his music career there. So the chemistry that they have on screen in that trailer alone looks very, very interesting. But the story itself is like one of those, like, okay, what's really happening in this town of theirs and all that? And is it like a Stepford Wives situations where she gets, like she gets out of it somehow in her mind and now she sees what's going on around her? I don't know. It just looks very fascinating. Another movie I'm looking forward to is the David Bowie documentary Moon Age Daydream from Neon, because it just looks visually fantastic. And anytime you can see more behind the scenes stuff with David Bowie and some of that stuff, and seeing his progression in his career, I'm all in for that. Clerks 3. I can't believe after all these years we're still getting another Clerks, and Kevin Smith is at it again. So the first movie means a lot to me. I feel like it kind of opened up my mind to independent film. So I definitely rank it really way up there in my list of all-time favorite movies because it just means that much to me. Clerks 2, now with a more bigger budget, still surprised me, still had me laughing and all that. So I'm definitely curious to see what's going to happen here with the third installment. Amsterdam, David O. Russell, I mean, full star-studded
Yes.
cast on this one. Oh my god. I mean, the
Yeah.
talent in this movie. You have Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, Michael B. Jordan, Chris Rock, John David Washington, Taylor Swift making an appearance. Anya Taylor-Joy is here. Rami Malek. I mean, the list goes
Oh,
on and on and on of all
yes.
the rising stars and like phenomenal actors in this industry today. So the story itself also looks very intriguing. Set in the 30s, group of friends witness a murder, and then now they're going to try to figure out how to go on with that. I believe it's based on a true story, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I got that right, but it just looks very, very interesting, and that could be another entertaining movie there. Um, I didn't mention this in my honorable mentions as far as superhero movies are concerned, but it is on my list because I am really curious as to what's going to happen with this movie, and that's Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Um, we don't need to talk about how huge the first Black Panther movie was. I mean, if you are a moviegoer, if you are in the pop culture, kind of lexicon there, you know the importance this movie had for a lot of people. And it was just enjoyable and, really, really well done. Unfortunately, you know, Bozeman is not with us anymore. But that's one of the things that leads to the curiosity of how is this movie going to be. We have not really heard anything about this movie with the exception of the drama behind the scenes with the death of Chadwick, the problems with Letitia Wright and all that stuff. It's just, and it's it's a big major curiosity as to how is this movie going to be, kind of like The Flash at this point, with the whole Ezra Miller like drama and stuff like that behind the scenes. So I am really curious. Of course I want this movie to be amazing because it deserves to be, but I am definitely curious to see what's going to happen there. And last, at least on my list, is Avatar 2. Is James Cameron's epic opus that's taking him his entire life to continue to write and direct and produce, is this going to live up to all the hype, or is this going to be a major flop and disappointment? James Cameron is like the king of sequels. Every sequel he's directed has been like huge, major, successful blockbusters and all that. And definitely favorites of mine personally. So is Avatar 2 going to do the same thing? We don't know. That trailer came out, and for me, it looks almost the same thing as the first movie. We will wait and see. Because another thing that the first Avatar movie did that was also, industry breaking was the use of 3D. 3D movies were very new at the time. So that was like one of the only movies in my mind that utilized that 3D technology to perfection. And it just felt great, but was the story great? No, it was just a fun time at the movie theater, and I thought, it was well directed and everything. So who knows what's going to happen here with the second one, but yeah, we'll wait and see. Now, as always, my list may be small now, but there's going to be tons of movies that'll come out later this year that'll be like, oh, I forgot about that movie. Oh yeah, that's right. I definitely want to see that movie. And then those will be added to my list as the months continue. But Blake, what say you about what are you looking forward to for the rest of the year?
Yes, I'm not going to go into the ones you did. We'll have plenty of time to discuss these movies in the coming
Sure.
months. But I might mention them as I go through. So first off, Marcel the Shell and Official Competition are two movies that are out now that I haven't been able to see yet, or are coming out this weekend. So those I'm excited for. Then there's the next category, which is like, I'm curious if this will be good. You mentioned a few of these. These aren't the ones I'm like, I'm hyped for this one. It's just like, I will see this one and I'm curious how they do it. So Avatar, top of the list. I think a lot of people have those same questions. Samaritan, Sylvester Stallone doing a dark
Yeah,
superhero
that's
movie. I
right.
don't know
Yep.
what to expect there.
Yep.
I looked up the director and the writer, and I don't have enough of like, oh, I'm excited because it's this person doing this. Martin
Yeah.
Starr is the only other person in the cast I really
Yeah.
recognize, so we'll see.
Right.
But a dark superhero movie, I'm always down for someone making an artful comic book superhero thing. Bodies, 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 which
Mm,
is most prominently known as the Pete Davidson TikTok clip
yeah.
of "I look like I fuck" thing. I thought that was just an interview. Turns out it's a clip from the movie I saw in the
Right.
trailer. So when I saw it in theaters, I go, "Oh my god, okay." Woke horror. I like that genre. Some of them are really bad. It's like they're trying to capitalize on the Get Out thing, but I'm glad that woke horror is what's happening right now. Somebody's meme the other day was like, "You remember when horror movies were just like, oh, this house is on fire and this house is attacking me,' and now it's just like, hey, remember that time in 8th grade when someone called you a slur? Now that's gonna haunt you for the like in every version of that." The trailer looks good, but it also might be like, I don't know if it's good, can't be good, or like bad, actually bad. We'll see.
Yeah.
Clerks 3. I love the 90s indie cinema movement. I loved Clerks 1 for that reason. I'm curious how he's doing it with 3, and if it's more of like a phone it in, or if it'll have that same magic. And then lastly, two that I'm like that I was finding out just kind of researching this. See How They Run with Sam Rockwell, Saoirse Ronan, Adrian Brody, and Ruth Wilson. Great cast, and
Oh,
it's
right.
in 1950s London. Plans for a movie version of a smash hit play come to an abrupt halt after a pivotal member of the crew is murdered. Sounds right up my alley. And then the other main one is Viola Davis is playing the Woman King, a historical epic inspired by
Yeah.
the true events that happened in the Kingdom of Dahomey, one of the most powerful states of Africa in the 18th and 19th centuries. That just, I'm looking at like the pictures and in the trailer. Like, I'm kind of glad I didn't know about this one, or else I
Yeah.
might be hyping it too hard and like expectations. So I think I'm gonna just like, that's all I know about it. I'm gonna block it out and then go see it that opening night, because that could be like just and like one of the most amazing cinema experiences kind of thing.
Right.
Other ones, you mentioned Moon Age Daydream. Creed 3 is on the list, and
That
I
comes
don't
out this
know.
year?
I saw it on a list. It's hard to say, especially like with COVID. There have been some things like Top Gun Maverick was supposed to be what, 2019, 2020
Oh my
something.
God.
So
Yeah, it was supposed to be
like
18.
goodness. So it's hard to say, but like when they're going out. But according to what I've seen, November 23rd, like Thanksgiving weekend in America.
Oh,
If that's the case, I loved the first one. The second one was good. Like I don't know if it might be a cash grab. It could be amazing, but that first Creed was magic.
yeah, for sure.
The real ones that I know I'm looking forward to, like I'll be disappointed if I don't love these. Is Nope, you mentioned Wakanda Forever. The other one, oh, in Amsterdam, David O. Russell. That's the other one you mentioned. The other ones that I don't think you mentioned these is Steven Spielberg, The Fablemans. That could be like a once in a lifetime type of movie.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Bros, just because like it's a comedy. Like I guess it's like an Apatow produced gay bro comedy. So I'm curious
Mhm.
how they handle that with Billy Eichner. I'm excited for that one. Bullet Train. You're telling me there's a movie with Brad Pitt and Bad Bunny, and I'm not going to see that 800 times in movie theaters. Like, even if it's terrible, I'm just going to go and just like put it on mute or something. I don't know. Like, I'm hyped
Mm.
for that one. And then lastly, Killers of the Flower Moon. This one got pushed
Ah,
at least
yeah.
once or twice from COVID, I think. But
Yeah. Mhm.
Scorsese, and it's set in my home state of Oklahoma. It's got it's Leonardo DiCaprio and Jesse Plemons. And at some point, I forgot how it went, but apparently Jesse Plemons was like, "Wait, I'm sorry, I'm the lead in the
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio movie.
That's right.
Is
Yeah,
he?
that's
Can we
right.
put him on the poster or like where's his name? Like what? That's should be good. That
Yeah.
story is intense. I don't know how much I'm going to love like sitting through that moment in history. It's going to be. It'll probably be a tough watch. I don't know how Scorsese will handle it. That'll be a main question. I'm
Yeah.
sure there'll be some think pieces or at least some like here's the true story behind it kind of stuff. Um, I don't know if I'm going to like research it beforehand or want the movie to tell me things and then fact check it afterward. But regardless, I know I'm going to see that movie opening night early as I can, and I'm sure we'll talk about it here. I'm excited for these movies and this conversation to continue.
No, for sure. I mean, a lot of good stuff that you mentioned that, again, I forgot. Like the Fablemans. I mean, I made fun of this movie before about like,
Yeah.
this is going to be Spielberg's last movie, right? And, what a way to end a career by talking about yourself, right? So it's like one of those things. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. Killers of the Flower Moon, totally forgot that about that as well. I believe that because it's interesting that that's coming out on Apple Plus TV after he made such a
Mhm.
big deal about doing The Irishman on Netflix, and then all that mumbo jumbo about cinema and all that.
Mhm.
But I do believe they are releasing that in theaters as well, right? I think they're doing one of those things like what they did with Coda, maybe. I don't know. But
That's
yeah,
my
so
understanding. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, they have to for awards reasons, or at least I think
sure.
they do now. I know COVID there was the exceptions, but my understanding, just from what I've heard at least, is Scorsese as the defender of theaters and the guy who's
Yeah,
like owns or partial like contributor to a theater in New York. Like this dude will make sure. I think he's doing it both, and it's almost like he's hedging the bet, of being like, okay, we'll let you do this, but maybe we can find a way that makes it work for movie theaters too. So
right.
I'm curious about that aspect of it. I'm definitely going to go see it in a theater for sure.
Yeah. Also, I'm curious that because again, this is Scorsese, and he is a New York darling when it comes to the film world. is this possibly going to be premiered at New York Film Festival later this year? So I'm
Hmm.
very, very curious about that. We should probably check, keep an eye out on that because that
Yep.
could be a fun thing for us to check out together, for sure. Bullet Train. Uh, I want this movie to be really good. I really
Yeah.
do. It has potential to be shit,
No, it
but
doesn't. Nope, it'll be
uh,
great. Don't. Nope.
okay,
Nope. It
maybe
has to be
I'm
so good.
okay. Maybe I'm high. Maybe I'm thinking too much about it and all that. But it looks like potentially, from what we've seen in this trailer, a fun ride. No pun intended. Again, I've been to Japan many times. I think bullet trains are fascinating. It is true you can see very interesting people on these trains. So I would love to see that explored and it played out, especially when it sounds like it's basically one of those like heist you know cop and robber type of things, like I don't know, spy, what have you. Great cast, a lot of great people in that movie. Not only just Brad Pitt, you have Sandra Bullock, you have what was the guy who plays Kick Ass? I always forget his name. Andrew Taylor Johnson.
Christopher
Yeah.
Mintz-Plasse? Aaron
Yeah,
Taylor. Yeah, no, I got
yeah,
it. Okay, that was bad.
yeah.
Whatever. Okay, sure.
But you have also some like some newer faces, like you have the actor that was in the Eternals recently. Um, Let me just pull up this cast list here because it is a very interesting list. So, um, yeah, I mentioned Aaron Taylor Johnson. Yeah, of course, Bad Bunny. I think Bad Bunny is he's doing wonders for his career right now between his
Yo.
music, wrestling, and now acting. Like I think it's so fascinating. His
We,
his kind of progression there.
I think he'll help the global box office too, because he's a big enough star. People will go just for the Bad Bunny of it. If it turns out he's like a tiny cameo or something, they're just overhyping him. But global
Yeah,
superstar he is, and the like number one
yeah,
artist on Spotify, your kind of thing.
yeah.
That'll help the global box office at the very least, even if it's a shit movie. And I'll probably be responsible for about a third of whatever that global box office.
No, for sure. But yeah. To close out the cast list here, you have Joey King, you have Brian Tyree Henry, Logan Lerman is apparently in this movie, and then you have the. I love this actor, but I hate the fact that he is like the go-to Japanese old guy, Hiroyuki Sanada, who is like the main. If we want a Japanese yakuza type guy, oh, let's get this guy. Like it's just like everything. He's like in a lot of movies that call for that type of role. So, but I like him. I like him a lot. He's a great actor. But yeah, this movie is going to be interesting for sure. I really, really want it to be good, and I hope it is for your sake. Or else that's definitely gonna be a fun conversation for us to have when that movie comes out. Cool. Anything else to add to your list, or anything else that you
Dude,
want to add to all that?
we did it. I'm excited for the future,
Yeah,
man. I'm loving this year in movies so far. It was nice to go through and be like, actually, there were some that I really loved.
yeah.
Get to talk through that. And dude, yeah, we've got 6 more months on the calendar, and we'll be getting into award season like closer to
Oh,
then. Which
so much fun.
I think I'm finally over the overexposure to the award season. To where I'm like excited to talk about that. But no,
Yeah,
this list of movies got me hyped for the rest of the year, man.
yeah. No, for sure. I just like the fact too that going to the movie theaters now again is feeling normal, somewhat normal.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know there are a lot of people who are still not going as often as they used to, but I have been seeing an increase of attendance, like especially this summer. So, if anything, this just means really good stuff for the industry as a whole because. Even though people like to crap on big industries and Hollywood and all that stuff like that, they're still providing a form of entertainment that we enjoy. We love going to the movie theaters. We love, getting lost in a story and in a movie. And if that ends or if it shifts in a way that, is not as enjoyable as it was, that would be pretty sad. So it's just nice to see things starting to pick up and the support for the theater chains and their mom and pop theaters that can try to continue on in this business of showing movies to fools like you and myself. But what movies are you guys looking forward to? What is on your list? What is something that you can't wait to see for the rest of the year? Again, as we keep saying, enjoy, engage in the conversation, write your comments. Um, People ask me sometimes, like, what's the best way to show support for your channel or show support for your videos or everything like that? That's commenting. If you comment,
Yeah.
then it allows other people to catch wind of this video. They can enjoy and engage in the conversation and all that. And we just love having those conversations with all of you, because this is one of the reasons why we do what we do. So yeah, so that's the end of our episode of Movie Time there, for looking at the past, present, and future of 2022, and a lot of good and fun stuff to look forward to for the rest of the year. And looking forward to future conversations with you there, Blake, about these movies coming out there. So that being said, where can people find you online there, buddy?
Yes, Rene. You can find me on letterboxd.com. My screen name there is Blake Wolf SSN, BlakeWolf SSN. That's where you can see where I gave Death on the Nile approximately 0 stars or 0.5. I gave Everything Everywhere All at Once 5 stars. And then it also has this watch list feature where anytime there's a movie that's coming out or exists, it's on there. And I just have an ongoing watch list. So when it comes out, you can get a notification when it's on the streamers, or at least that way, whenever I go, it's Thursday night, I'm bored, I got to find something to watch. I go to my watch list. You can organize. I go, I only have an hour and a half until I need to call it a night. Organize it by length, which streamers it's on, etc. So
Yeah.
that for my my looking forward to list for the rest of this year, I definitely use that watch list feature. Check it out. See me there and on Movie Time with you, my friend.
Nice. Also, always appreciate you having here and talking about movies and the things that we love about movies there. So definitely enjoy it, and looking forward, like I said, to those future conversations. As for myself and Lowkey Geek, you see all the handles on the screen there. All the links to all social and everything like that can be found in the description. Again, if you haven't done so already, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, show your support, comment, engage in the conversation there. If you are an audio listener or you want to start listening to us in audio format because you're sick and tired of looking at our mugs every week, then go to your favorite podcast platform of choice. Look for the LOWKEY GEEK channel there, and you can download this episode and so much more directly from there. Don't forget, if it asks you and prompts you, leave a nice rating. Say some good things, or don't. Say some crappy things as well. You have your right. It's your choice. You can do what you want. What are we to tell you what to do, right? So, that being said, I'm Rene. This is Blake. This has been Movie Time. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch all of you fine people next week. Peace out, everyone.